Hey, well, welcome to our fourth session on parenting on purpose. Now remember, it's parenting on purpose. It's not by accident or by fiat or by ways that we've learned past patterns. It really is on purpose. You know, I started out our first session talking a little bit about Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it likely will. Well, there's a few more I'd like to share with you, just kind of by way of, lightening things up here a little bit. So when you dress your child in underwear instead of a diaper, he will refuse to tell you when he has to go to the bathroom. The only exception is when you're in a football stadium filled with 55,000 screaming fans. It's the fourth quarter, it's the clock is almost run out, and your team could win if they could just make this last score, and that's when your child grabs a hold of you and utters the words you've been waiting a month to hear. Daddy, I gotta go potty. Murphy's Law. Anyway, earlier that day you read a magazine article suggesting that if you ignore him now, he'll get some kind of a complex and become a chronic bedwetter or something until graduation day. And that's when your favorite player catches the pass that's now a part of ESPN forever. Oh, well, and you missed it because, of course, you have different priorities. And I hope that you have different priorities when you're a parent, because really it's all about the kid. It's not all about you. Another one, the first time your child makes you proud by answering the phone all by themselves. You'll find out they hung up on your boss who was offering you a one-time only promotion. If you're watching your weight, your child will not touch the food that they insist on ordering at the restaurant, and you will feel obligated not to let it go to waste. And if you eat and intentionally order light, anticipating the opportunity to clean your child's plate, well, naturally, they'll finish every bite. Parenting. Parenting, of course, it is not an easy thing, and most people are not prepared for parenting. It's not a natural thing in the sense of that we are instinctual. We are not instinctive in terms of our parenting process. We as humans, we tend to parent based upon the way that we were parented, whether good, bad, or ugly. That tends to be what we do. Now, we've talked about kind of some of the basic principles, including some biblical principles. And one of the things we talked about also was just, discipline and the importance of discipline and, having consequences. And we're going to give you a couple of examples of that as we move forward. But mainly, we want to give you an example about how you deal with a teenager, especially a rebellious one. But we'll do that in just a few minutes. The key thing in overall parenting is to learn about your child, because every child is different. Every child is unique. No one's going to have the exact same personality pattern and ways of coping and ability to manage stress as another child. And so really you have to spend time to get to know your individual child, and you do that primarily by observation. Over time, even the dumbest of parents can pick up a few things about why their child does what they do. But, one of the things we've learned as mental health professionals is that all behavior is meaningful. All behavior has a purpose or is saying something, if you will, about the person who is acting in a certain way. Now, the real art form in parenting is really being able to interpret or understand what the meaning is of a child's behavior so that you can respond instead of react, respond to it in a way that's going to be helpful to either increase a good behavior or diminish a negative or bad behavior. And so really one of the things, the Dreikers community, Adolf Dreikers, and people connected with them on parenting, and some of their writings have come up with really, 4 primary things that are the goals of misbehavior. Now again, the goal of good behavior, if you will, is to get attention, it's to get love, it's to get someone to notice them in a positive way. We're not really trying to figure out ways to correct good behavior. When your child is polite and yes, mom, no, mom, thank you, all of those, we really rarely try and correct those behaviors because, hey, they're good and they make us look good as parents. But it's really the negative behavior. So the key thing is to try and figure out what is the goal or the purpose behind why a child is doing what they're doing, and then to respond opposite to it. Opposite of what is intuitive even about that behavior. So for example, really the four areas is the child is seeking attention, they're seeking power, they're seeking revenge, or they're expressing inadequacy. Those were the four primary goals that were found in Dreiker's research. So the number one again is attention. And you can pretty much tell when a child is seeking attention because it's irritating you. It becomes frustrating. In other words, as a parent, when you're feeling frustrated with your child, it's normally because they're seeking attention in a negative or inappropriate way. Now, one of the things you have to ask yourself is the attention that they're seeking, is it really worthy of giving them attention? Because not all attention-seeking behavior is negative, especially if you haven't really been attending to your children. Children need time with their parents. They need parents to attend to them and to their needs. And so, assuming you are attending well to your child's appropriate needs, when they are asking for attention in an inappropriate way, you have a choice. You can react, as in, shut up, leave me alone, go to your room, go play on the freeway, or whatever, where you take action to push them, if you will, away from you because they're bothering you, to responding differently. Now, the best response to negative attention-seeking behavior is to not respond to it. Now, for example, it seems as though there's a direct connection between the telephone ringing and the phone call being for you as the parent and the child's desperate need to have your attention at that moment. You've probably all experienced that to one level or another. Now, how do you respond? Well, what most parents do is, I'm on the phone, stop talking, leave me alone, okay, which might work, oftentimes doesn't, threatening to spank them, whatever. The best is to simply ignore it if you possibly can. That is, don't respond to it, step away from it, or if you need to, for just a moment, say, can you please hold for just a moment, and then stand there and simply stare at them and let them know very clearly, not now, I'm on the phone. I will attend to you when I'm done with my phone call. Now again, it's more of how we respond. If we respond by not giving them what they want, which is the immediate attention, they are less likely to try that behavior again. If we do respond or react, it's likely to increase that behavior. So if you're dealing with a child, and most kids look for attention at one time or another, if you're feeling frustrated, it's probably a good sign that they're seeking attention. Sometimes what they're after is power or control. And usually when you feel yourself to be a bit powerless, or you feel like that things are out of control, that's typically when the goal of the child's behavior is power. Now, what I mean by that is not so much that they're in control, but that there is control. There's nothing more frightening for a child than to assume that they're in charge, because they know they shouldn't be in charge. They know their parents should be. And so this sense of this power struggle. Now, one of the things I tell parents all the time, you do not have to convince your child that you're the parent. You don't need to tell them that. It is quite obvious. You have the birth certificate, you are the parent. It's more exercising the authority or power that you have. And you can do that with grace and truth. Jesus was full of grace and truth, and you can be as well. So you deal with power not by a power struggle, but by giving them the power and or taking the power that you have. But being aware of it, they're looking for power. The third there is a sense of revenge. They're actually angry at you or angry at someone, and they're projecting their anger on you. Now, how do you know if you feel like they're taking revenge? Because you feel hurt. And it's amazing how many parents I've talked to, I don't understand why they're so mean to me. Excuse me, who's the kid here? Anyway, the fact is, sometimes kids, it's not fair and you're not treating me. Well, deal with that. In other words, the way you deal with it is to respond by asking the question, why are you mad at me? Why are you trying to hurt me? Not that they necessarily can, but you want to help deal with that. And again, the fourth one is this sense of inadequacy. And one of the most difficult things for parents is when a child acts as though I can't. I just can't. I can't tie my shoes. I can't do this. I can't do that. Take care of me. What they're asking for, again, what you feel is a sense of hopelessness, is what they're asking for is you to do everything for them. And they actually will often play it up as though, if you love me, you'll do everything for me. Well, we have a whole culture of young people, especially, that are filled with a sense of inadequacy and with an expectation of entitlement. Well, anyway, the more that you get to know your child, the more that you have a sense of the goal of their behavior, you can begin to then govern your own self and respond differently. So I want to really encourage you, spend a lot of time reading about that in your book on Parenting on Purpose, because there really are some excellent helps that will move you forward in the parenting process. Hey, we'll cover more in our next session.